Abandoned ship. Is it worth a buy, guys? Is it? Let's read the words of the developer. In Abandoned Ship, you take command of a ship. Well, it's not going to be a car, is it? And her crew, exploring a diverse, procedurally generated world and engaging enemy vessels in tactical combat. The game focuses on Age of Sail ships in a fantasy setting framed in an art style inspired by classic naval oil paintings. What the... Guys, FTL. If you liked FTL, then you might like this. FTL, Faster Than Light, was a roguelite game set in space. This is a roguelite game set on the high seas. Very Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing. And what you do, you control up to 6 shipmates on a shitty ship, and you then upgrade that ship, repair the ship, kit it out, sell it, part exit for a better ship. You can go all the way up to, I think it's a man of war. And you basically, there's a story to this as well, which is pretty shit. Basically, the story is you've escaped from these cultist people who are really nasty, and you end up having to hunt all them down, and there's a kraken involved, and I think a penguin and maybe a camel. But the bottom line is, guys, it's kind of micromanaging your ship. There's not a lot to do, to be fair. The battles become quite tedious after a while. There goes something along the lines of, ooh, there's a ship, target them with your 2 cannons, fire at his sails with your sail breaking cannon, tell your captain to get closer to the ship, which you can do easily by just clicking on the left hand side. There's 4 markers of which tells your captain how close you want to go to the enemy ship. You just parallel all the time. When you get pretty close, you can then use your deck gun to take out the crew and wound them and all the rest of it. You also have a mortar on your ship, which can basically do devastating hull damage. And once you've sort of set all them guns away, the cannons will fire automatically all the time, but you have to manually fire the mortar, the deck gun and the sail breaker. You also have to keep an eye on the distance between your 2 ships, and you can also ram them if you want, board them and take over their ship, and you'll get a little bit more money if you do that. Sometimes you have to do that because if you're rescuing slaves from a slave ship, you don't want to be sinking it, do you? And that's basically how it goes. Now, it is a fun game. I've played it for 16 hours just to see what the end game is like, and after about 8 or 9 hours, it starts to get a bit broken, this game. See, the problem is, if you remember, if you haven't played Faster Than Light, you might get a bit confused here, but essentially what happens is the big map is broken down into zones, which are kind of set in like a picture frame, like the developer said, an oil painting. I don't understand why he's done that. That's kind of crazy. But anyway, it's all fog of war. You don't know what's there, and you move your little ship around in here, and you uncover these icons on the map. And these icons there's different icons that represent a different kind of thing. An octopus kind of thing represents a cult kind of mission that could happen. It's normally a ship that you have to fight. A ship icon, well, there's going to be a ship involved. Now, that doesn't mean that if you move over that, you're going to be fighting a ship. It could be a ship in distress. It could be something else going on there. But essentially, it's going to be a ship. If you see a guy in the water, then you know that's a man overboard, and so on and so forth. And the problem with that is it's pretty boring and static. It would have been much better if there was actually ships sailing around in here, intercepting you and all the rest of it. Now, at the very bottom of the screen, you'll see what looks like an octopus in the middle and some lines either side of it. That's the pursuit marker. Now, what that means is when all the lines either side of the octopus are filled in, you are going to get attacked. Now, you'll either get attacked off a super duper ship, which isn't really that super duper. You can just kill it quite easily. You're going to get attacked off a kraken if you haven't already killed it, or you're going to get attacked by halifron. Now, what halifron are, these kind of monsters that they swim really fast. They're sea-dwelling monsters, and they're usually on crews of other ships, and they will attack you. The nasty bastards. They board your ship and try to kill your crew, and when they die in a pool of acid, which then will finish off your crew if you keep standing in it. So you have to watch for them. That can be nasty when they're boarding your ship, especially if there's about 5 of them, because you only have 6 crew. So they can be really, really nasty. You end up destroying their nests later on in the game. Now, to move from these zones, you need to have fish. It's a supply of food.
it costs X amount of food to travel from one zone to the next. If you don't have food, you can still travel, but it's not good for your crew's morale. Let's talk about crew morale. I haven't actually found the crew's morale does anything. I've had it really right down to -20, I think, and they were still fighting really well. So it's a bit broken, this. Also, as well, a lot of the events that you come across are predictable. There's not that many of them, and one of them is completely broken. It's the one where you'll be told, hey, look, there's a ship here that looks empty. Should we board it and see? Now, if you do that, you have probably about a 50 or 60% chance of losing a crew member. Now, to rebuy that crew member costs around about, well, anywhere from 120 to 180 gold. Now, if he doesn't die on that mission, that RNG mission, the reward you get's like 23 gold or something. It's just not worth doing, so you'll always just say, no thanks, I'm not doing that mission, which kind of breaks a whole chain of missions on this game. If you're going to do an RNG where you could lose a crew member, then I want a bloody good reward for that if I don't lose a crew member. It's risk versus reward. You know, 23 gold seems to be like the price for everything in this game. You'll find a barrel, 23 gold. Oh, you'll sink a ship, 23 gold. It's like, what's with 23 fucking gold for everything you do? The game costs $14.99. It is early access, and he's got another year, I think he said, to work on this, but he needs to do a lot in that year, and the main thing he needs to do is to get a hell of a lot more quests and things going off, more action things going on in the game. I would get rid of the icons and put actual moving things in there, maybe sea monsters, boats, and all the rest of it. I love the harbours that you can find, and you can dock, and you can upgrade your ship, buy new ships, repair your ship, but it needs a lot more going on. You've kind of seen all the content after a couple of hours, and then it's just harder content all the way through. And another thing as well, when you actually complete the game, there's no replay value, whereas in FTL, when you completed that game, you could start with a much bigger, better ship that you'd never seen before. And I would have liked something like that in this, but there isn't. And also the lifeboats are a complete waste of space. If you lose your ship, and I've only lost mine once, if you have a lifeboat, you can get in the lifeboat, but you have to wait forever to get rescued. You'll probably lose half your crew when you do that, and then it drops you off at a port where you've got no money, no food, no crew, and you've got to start with a shit ship, and it's just kind of, you're screwed. You're pretty much screwed. You may as well just start the game again. It's kind of, yeah, a bit. But let's finish on a plus. I do like the game. There is a lot of fun to be had here. I do like the battles. I do like the whole carrot on a stick to get more money, to get a better ship, to get more powerful, to upgrade my cannons, to get better mortars. And let's just talk on a negative now, because I've just remembered something. The actual weapon selection is a bit shit. You can't just buy better cannons. All the guns that you can buy in the upgrades is kind of like, hey, do you want to fire some fire out of your mortar? Or do you want to fire this out your mortar that'll do cracks in the hull? Or do you want this that does a lot of damage? You don't feel like you upgrade them. I've never even upgraded my cannons, because at the end of the day, they don't do any more damage. It's just they may shoot from a bit longer range, but maybe not be as powerful in close range. And it's like, well, what's the point then? That, you know, you should have different tiers of weapons that you can put on your ship. It needs more work, but don't let that put you off if you're into FTL type games, because it isn't a bad game. Again, huge potential, could be brilliant, but just needs more work.